Welcome to the Accumulating Wealth Podcast. I'm Hunter Satterfield.
And I'm Judson Crawford. We're CPAs, wealth advisors, and partners at Kane Waters & Associates, a financial services firm here to help business owners navigate the decisions they face every day.
Today's episode is all about a concept we talk about a lot, but one that can make or break a practice if it's misunderstood: the all-in client.
That's right. That's the idea that the right patients, those who are aligned, engaged, and committed, don't just make your business more enjoyable, but they make it more successful.
We are joined by longtime client and orthodontist, Dr. Luke Bailey, here from the DFW area, who's built a thriving, relationship-driven practice by being incredibly intentional about who he serves, how he serves them, and being good-looking.
That's the most
That's what I
important.
was going to
Thank
say.
you. Golly.
We're so glad he's here.
I'm coming here more often.
Let's get started.
What's up, y'all?
How are you?
I'm awesome.
We're glad you're here.
I'm awesome. Just finished up our...
Traveled all the way in from far
15
away.
minutes away.
I did have to pay a toll bill.
That is true. You did.
You should turn it into Hunter.
I'm thinking I will.
Yeah, we just wrapped. In fact,
Email it to mason@kanewaters.com.
his wife, Kayla, is a superstar, and she's actually working still in the conference room.
I think she was working during your lecture.
She is so unimpressed.
This work?
I know. She was.
Did you see what I did as a lecture?
A little bit.
Wait, what?
I mean, it's a lecture.
Did you just hear that?
It's a lecture about
Damn it.
the things that I need
That's
to
right.
learn.
The important things. And
Correct.
so we were walking out of the room, and he's like, "Do you want to come watch?" And she's like, "No."
No, I'm
He's
listening.
very unimpressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, yeah, I want to listen to Luke talk more.
That's
Uh-huh.
right. I'll do a little
It's like,
intro.
I'll get that on the way home.
Luke and Kayla have been my clients for ages. They're the best. All the way from, which we'll hear some of the story, all the way from when you bought the practice until today. So practice in Coppell and Flower Mound here in North Texas. DDS from Baylor, and then UT School of Dentistry in Houston for ortho. Also a diplomat of the American Board of Orthodontics. I mentioned Kayla already, and your wonderful little girls, Brooklyn and Elliot.
Yep.
You
That
are,
is the
you are
official.
very diplomatic.
I am.
Yeah,
I think so.
I knew it.
I couldn't believe they gave me that actual pen. I was like, oh, you don't know me very well. Yeah. So long time. 15 years this year.
That's right.
Oh, isn't it?
And I think
I
that'd
don't
be
look that old.
a really good place to start, because your story is fascinating. Because we've talked about Judson on here before. I was teaching the practice transition seminar, which we've talked about before, but I was teaching it back in 2011, and you sat in the front row.
Damn straight.
And this guy was asking so many freaking questions, but it was a blast going back and forth. But you want to start there
Yeah,
and then tell people
absolutely.
your story?
Yeah, so we got connected a long time ago when we were in residency. Silver Fox, Charles Loretto, came to visit us and was talking to us about Kane Waters. And me and my friend Ben were just peppering him with questions. And he's like, you know what, guys, just come to this seminar. I think he really just putting us off on you so you can answer all of our questions.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So anyway, we get invited somehow to this thing, and we had no opportunities or anything ready for us, but came to this seminar 2011, 15 years ago. And it was just about learning as much as we could learn. And so pretty shortly after that seminar, I started putting out feelers, trying to figure out a location where I could land, like an opportunity, and found an opportunity, kind of cultivated a relationship with him. And over the next probably year, I started getting data on this practice that I was going to buy. Well, I didn't know what that data meant. I mean, to me, it was the only one I'd ever looked at. I didn't know what it meant. So I remember the seminar, and I was like, okay, I'm going to contact this Satterfield guy.
He likes data.
He looks like a minion over there. I don't know if he. So I contact him, and I sent him the information. Said, hey, what do I do with this? How do I know this is right? Can you help me look at it? So for plumb near nothing, he started representing me, and we met him at a Breadwinners Cafe over on Lovers Lane, and I showed him this notebook that had come from another firm that had done the valuation. And again, I'm just a 29-year-old guy with no business experience at all, and he kind of runs through all of it. And from there, it was quick. It was very obvious I needed representation. So he represented me in this whole conversation. Came out to my office, met with Dr. Stitch, who is, we'll say, militaristic.
Yes, wonderful human.
Yes.
But very difficult.
Wonderful human. But he militaristic. We'll go that way. And so at that point, I basically was hands off. I was like, Hunter, if you discuss this deal and it makes sense, I'll sign it. And they worked back and forth, make a deal happen. It was an amazing transition. And then we've been a client ever since. And really from day one, the crazy thing about our relationship with Kane Waters, it's been drastically different every step of the way. So early on, it was, dude, like, is this a deal worth signing? Is this going to take my family forever? How is this going to work? To setting up corporate. I didn't know all the steps involved. Like, I didn't know you had to set up a PLLC, or you guys walked us through all of that. Then it became, all right, let's compare this year's numbers to last year's numbers. Where are we high? Where are we low? And help us build a very, very lean practice in an environment that was harder and harder to get a lean practice built. And so it transitioned from that to then it was like, okay, now wait, we're not in debt anymore. We have money to invest it somewhere. What do we do with this money? Then we became an investment client. Oh, the bookkeeping, yeah, that's kind of a pain. We can't do that. You're going to handle that. And so what it did is by really year 2, I was an orthodontist and a caricature on the front of my, practice, and that was it. I did none of the back stuff. I came once a year. Hunter told me how things were going, and we built from there. And so now this is year 12 after that, and we've had opportunities. So they supported me from the time I was resident to associate doctor to partner in a practice to sole owner. And now, as you guys know, the DSO, OSO world's crazy out there. And so, and these guys will come at you from every angle. And I didn't know what I was looking at, right? And so they helped us evaluate all those offers too. And that's a big thing. That's a whole nother ball of wax that nobody out there that's listening to this knows what they're doing unless you're, 7 pillars people listening to us, which they should be.
Well, it's like it's kind of like you came in based on, that at that time, that was the biggest decision in your life. The sale that, that next one to an OSO, that was then the biggest decision of your life. Yeah. And you'll come to Hunter for the next biggest decision in your life.
Oh yeah, we did. Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're doing it now. We're set now. We met with y'all have a new in-house guy that's like helping people set up all their, I don't know what you call it.
Estate planning.
Estate planning. I call it all the mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Right?
Micah.
Yeah. Micah, dude, it was killer. He met with us today and just said, okay, guys, here's the trajectory you're on. We got to have a plan for this, right? And so
he's like, at your advanced age, we need to talk about death.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and we talk about this, like, he's like, well, one of you will die. That'll be me. My wife will survive me by many years. Gentlemen out there, she'll be on the market again in about 20. Yeah. So like, it's just, my point is everywhere along the way, there was a different value brought to the table. And why I became an all-in client is it was obvious, right? It was so obvious because everywhere along the way, it was like, it just made sense and it made life easy for me. So I don't really know any other way.
Yeah. And so we brought Luke on because he's a great example of an all-in client. I mean, you've used about every service that we offer here throughout your timeline, but more importantly, we wanted to talk about, all of our listeners in their business and how they too can create that all-in client because, I mean, statistically, if you do that, you will make your business more profitable.
Oh yeah,
right.
I think one of the things that have been always fascinating in your practice, and when you bought it, and then the growth has just been tremendous to multiple practices, obviously multiple doctors. And when I've come out there several times. Came to the original open house,
yeah,
the ice cream trucks and snow cones and everything, and I've come several times more. And what is so interesting to me is when people come into your practice, right? Families, students, kiddos, whatever else it is. When they come in, it is amazing seeing. I mean, I've heard conversations. They don't really fight you on conversion. No. They don't fight you on cases. They don't really fight you in it. It's like, okay, Dr. Bailey, sounds good, Dr. Bailey.
Yep.
And I think that's it's a testament, obviously, to you, and that's what we want to talk about today. But also the growth of the practice. Like it has allowed the practice to go where it is. So as you think about that over the years, right now, 12 years, multiple doctors, like what do you think some of the common themes are that has allowed you to create that culture where your patients just come in and say, sounds good.
We'll take it. Yeah. I mean, it's so many things. The first thing I think all doctors, and I had to overcome this too, is thinking that it's all about you because it's really not, spoiler alert. I have an associate doctor named is Dr. Britt. She's amazing. I just did analytics last week, and her close rate's every bit as good as mine. And why? Because it's not really all about us. It's really all about the culture you have in your office. So to me, the biggest thing, number one, is building your team, building your staff. And that's hard. It sounds easy, but I tell people it's like mining for gold. It's hard work, but it's totally worth it when you strike it. Same thing. So most of my staff members have about a core of about 7 or 8, and then like lots of others beyond that. I think we have a team of about 21 now. But they are critical because they are the ones who set the culture on a day-to-day basis. And they know, oh, Dr. Bailey's out. Like I'm out today, right? For our meeting. They know I got to step it up. And now it's on us to make sure these patients understand our culture and all that. And so my point of saying all that is your team around you is what's eternally going to sell them. It's because you're not selling them on the service. You're selling them on the way you make them feel. And I think our team does a great job of that, making them feel special.
And that's allowed you when you started Flower Mound, your second location, and now as we look at that third location as well to start, it's really made it turnkey, right?
Totally.
I mean, it allows you to just focus on, all right location, get the build out done. But like as far as systems and getting patients in and the trust that is going to be built, it's easy because your team just says, "We got it, Dr. Bailey."
Totally. When you think about like the different branches of your practice, you are doing marketing and business, you're doing orthodontics, and then you're doing the back end stuff. Well, I've never had to worry about the back end stuff. Kane Waters has had that for me. So I've never worried about it. I've never thought, am I paying enough paying too much in credit card fees? That's every year Hunter's like, yes, you're paying too much credit card fees. Change to this one. Okay. That's what happens. So then all I've got to do on this new location is go, okay, I got to get out there and let people know that we're here. Because once we get them in the doors, they're sold, right? Because of the team helps me keep the culture. I have to kind of sell our practice as the one to choose, and then I've got the back end taken care of. So yeah, I mean, it really is. It's setting up systems so that it'll be successful.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what you say about, building the culture in your practice and having your staff as kind of the missionaries or the people that are carrying that culture out is so important because, I do think that culture, and we would say the same thing here at Kane Waters, is that, the culture here is relationship. That comes first. And if it doesn't, we're going to lose that relationship with the client. I'll challenge you a little bit when you say it's not all about me. And I agree with what you're saying is it's not all about you on a day-to-day, patient. You don't have to see every patient. You're not in there, all that kind of stuff, just like you were saying with your associate. But I do think one of the things in the smaller businesses that we advise, the culture starts with the doctor.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it flows down from you. And what I think is that culture has to be built in you and about you. And I think
no doubt.
I think that where people can make mistakes in the practice is they try to build a culture that really isn't aligned with them.
Yeah.
They see where it came, I was an associate here and this was Dr. So-and-so's culture and I want to replicate that. Well, there may be things that you can take from it, but it really has to be your own, right?
No doubt.
And
I was fortunate because I had like I was saying, I was, as an associate, I was a client of y'all's. I had an awesome first job out of residency. I didn't know what I was going to make before I even stepped in the door. I just knew the dude had a good practice. And I was like, his name is Mike Mizell, Houston, great guy. I learned a lot from him. And there were things that I knew I wanted to take with me and things I knew I didn't want to take with me. And then I got to the next level, and with Stitch, there were things that I knew I wanted to take and I didn't want to take. But like you said, like some of it, like for example, I had to wear a tie with Stitch. He wore a tie every day. I'm wearing a hoodie today, and this was my work outfit. Okay, because my thing is about it's relaxed, fun environment. Kids are there. No one's nervous coming in. That is who I am, and my staff kind of learned that as well. So you're right. It is about us setting the culture. But to me, it's like as soon as I figure out that one of my staff or my associate or something can do something better than me, man, get out of the way. Get out of the way and let them do their job because it will make your job easier.
Yeah, I was thinking about, as both of y'all were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you, Judson, because I loved your thoughts there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You just interrupted me. Yeah. No, but I thought about a real life example of this. And we talk about Luke being an all-in client, but the things that you guys talked about very quickly as far as trust in the team and everything. Literally today, I called Luke a couple of days ago and I said, dude, my middle son just got called up for his first ever varsity start for high school for pitching.
And crushed it.
And he did crush it. Thank you. It's very kind. And I was like, Luke, I got to be there. And Luke's like, you absolutely have. You know what the first word out of his mouth was? Amanda's got us, my associate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I came in this morning, I did the first 3 hours, and then I walked out, and Amanda ran the meeting for 2 hours and didn't miss a beat.
No.
And that's because, again, it's the team focus of like, it is not necessarily about me. It's about my team, the culture. And Amanda felt empowered to do it,
Yeah.
but you also trusted her
Oh,
to
yeah.
execute for 2 hours while I was gone.
Yeah, it's weird. I offered to come in and Henry didn't take me up on
No,
it.
of course.
But
Well,
you trusted
I
Amanda
would have
to
run.
come in.
Run, yeah. I said Amanda, and he didn't do Amanda and not Judson.
That's right. That's right.
Can handle it.
Okay, so we talked about that, which I think is awesome. We've talked a little bit. I mean, the word's been thrown around, guys, a little bit. How did you create, Luke, the trust for your patients? Because especially in orthodontic practice, or it does actually matter in any of these practices, like the ability to get that patient to say, not only myself, but not only my kid, but my other two kids, and maybe me too for aligners.
Yep.
My son personally, my son and wife drove all the way over to do aligners with you, and I didn't even ask anything about anything. I just said, Luke, just get this done.
Yeah.
How do you develop that culture of trust? Because I think that lends itself to that all-in patient as well.
No doubt, no doubt. So the first thing is, to me, it's about like when you're interacting with a patient in general, they have a specific thing that they want from you, right? And it's our job to, number one, listen to what they want. And the biggest thing, I know this sounds crazy and obvious, but like, is just building trust that you're not always after something from them, right? So I looked at our data recently, and the number of new patients that come in to go to recall is way higher than average. And my staff sometimes gets irritated at me because they're not going to hit their numbers because we don't have something to sell. But I'm like, yeah, but you're showing them that every time you come in here, I'm not in your pocket, right? And so I'm telling them, you know what? I think we can wait a little bit for this. I think it's all right to wait until this thing happens or that thing happens to get started with your treatment. And just they get a feeling of, okay, this doc is looking out for what's best for our kid in the long run, not today. And I think over doing that hundreds of times, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had a family come in, both kids not quite ready for treatment yet. They're just developing their dentition, whatever. And the mom goes, well, you know what? Since they're not ready, can we go ahead and look at me today? It happens all the time. Because they in their mind had, I got $10,000 is in what their head. I got two kids, I got to spend 10,000. When they leave, they're going like, oh, it's not nothing. Oh, maybe I can sneak myself in here. And then they tell their friends, And oftentimes in our world, what happens is people feel pushed to buy things all the time. And so when there's somebody in there in any part of your life where you're not feeling that way, you tell your friends, like when they say, oh, my kid needs orthodontist, dude, you got to go see Dr. Bailey first. He'll tell you if you really do.
Well, and I think that what you're describing there is really the way I see it is that you're partnering with that family in their kids' health.
Yeah.
And that's all we want here is to partner with our clients in their financial health. That's it. Right. And if you can do that over, like what you said, the transactional value, you've won.
Yeah. 100%. Like, to bring it to y'all's business. I remember years ago when we were getting ready to buy our building for my practice. Number one, I knew just enough to know that was a good idea. I didn't know why and how and what. But Hunter knows us from being with us for years that we're sort of debt averse, right? And so when we got to the point where we could pay the building off, most advisors, I said, you want to pay the building off? No, let that thing ride, right? We had a good interest rate, we'll invest it. But he's like, look, knowing you guys and knowing your psyche, I know that it would make you feel better if you do. We'll structure it, go ahead and get the building paid off, and we'll handle it on the back end, right? That kind of stuff builds trust. So then when you do come and say, hey, we got this investment opportunity. Here's the way it works. Educate us on how it works. And we're like, yeah, let's go. Because I know he wouldn't be selling me that if it wasn't good for him, right? It's the same thing in dentistry. It's the same thing in any kind of business. If you can build trust with them that your number one priority is what is best for them and what they want and what they need, then the rest of it's cake, right? And so the culture in our town and in my office is Dr. Bailey is not going to sell me anything that I don't need. So I feel 100% confident. I'm going to bring our kid who's 6 and 7 and 12 and 15, and because we have patients that come to see us sometimes that their dentist told them they did not need treatment. Like, oh, well, no, we're going to go and see Dr. He'll tell us if we need it, right? And I can confirm, go, yeah, your dentist is smart. You're good. Or, you know what? There's this or that that's going on. Whatever. But I think it's about the building trust, and that's what makes anybody all in on anything.
Yeah, I think as I think about that, both in how I've seen you interact with your patients, and then how you and I have interacted, and how we interact with all of our clients behind the scenes too. It's about doing the right thing. If you just do the right thing, it'll all work itself out.
Yeah.
The do the right thing is what generates that trust, which ultimately results in the long-term wins in the
Absolutely.
practice. And if you do the right thing for the patient, they're going to come back because everybody kind of knows what the right thing is at the end of the day.
So I'll ask this for both you guys, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. We've all been in business for a while now in the teens, and for me, I know it's shocking in the 20s.
30.
But if you could go back and transport yourself to 29-year-old Luke, or however the hell old you were when you came here,
18.
yeah,
Doogie last year.
Seriously, like what, because we've all relaxed a little, like we've seen things and we've relaxed a little. Like, what would you tell your younger self, or for our clients or for our listeners that are getting out of school, they're in residency, or they're about to buy their first business? Like, what are the things that you would tell yourself?
Buy NVIDIA.
No kidding. I saw what NVIDIA.
That's not what you were looking for.
That's not what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to start?
I'll go. Yeah. So the first thing, and I get this question a lot. We have a lot of upcoming grads, recent grads that want to come hang out with us for a day or two to shadow. And they say, if you had one piece of advice, what would you tell somebody? And I generally say this: the first job out, pick the one that is with the best leader, because really, if you have a choice, don't take the highest paying. Don't take the one that you can take the most from. I lucked into that scenario where I landed in a practice where I learned a lot from, good and bad, right? But learn as much as you can early, and because like right now, Brittany, who's my associate, she could go out and slay on her own if she wanted to. And she's been with me 4 or 5 years. She could absolutely slay on her own. She likes the environment of being with me and in a comfortable environment. And we operate like partners, and it's great. But like what she's learned in the last 4 years, if you asked her, she'd be like, yeah, I learned more there than I did in residency, So try to align yourself with people that have a mentality of, let's do the best for people. Let's show you how to lead in all phases of life. That's what I would tell people.
That's a mic drop. I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Pick the one with the best leader.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that mine would be that. Do the right thing. Just I feel like myself, I've always done that. I'm sure I've had missteps along the way, but that encouragement from a 44-year-old hunter to that younger person, and be like, trust me, it's always going to work out when you put everybody else's interest in front of your own, by making sure that it's the right thing for Luke and Kayla or whoever else it is. Because at the end of the day, I think that is what develops the trust, the friendship that we have, the relationship, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, a good example is my brother heard me talking to Hunter. We were on the way home from an event, and I called Hunter about something. He called me back, and I was just chatting with him about it. He goes, so do you like talk to him about all that stuff? And I was like, anything that's related to life. Yeah, pretty much. And so he's like, I need a Hunter in my life. Got him connected. Now they're coming down the road to come over here. I don't do that because my investments look good on paper. I do it because I know that I don't know what all's going on in his life, his financial life, but I know that if he comes over and talks with Hunter and y'all's advisors, he's going to be in good shape. Someone's going to tell him the right thing to how to get things squared away. That's the trust thing. And my father-in-law, he was a executive at Southwest Airlines, and he head of people. And he used to always say, maybe this is a cliche, but he would say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's sort of, if you have that mentality of everything, you will do the right thing.
Yeah. And mine was going to be, honestly, it goes right in line with that is, if I could look back at the beginning and say what I would do differently, it's like, hire for the values of the person, for, what the personality and the values of that person are, and not what's on their resume.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that, I think we do a really good job of that now, surrounding ourselves with the best people that are a cultural fit. But I think that so many times in my youth, it's like, okay, well, they have these things checked off, and it doesn't work that way.
Well, I think soft skills are going to be more and more important as we go through life. AI can do a lot of things better than I can today, right? But they can't cry with a mom who's upset about her divorce, and they can't do those things that I can do. Hopefully, not yet. But those kind of skills. So like a good example is I have a 23-year-old that essentially runs my TC department, my sales department. She has 2 college graduates reporting to her, but you know what? She busts her butt. She cares and like exemplifies everything we are about our culture. And so she was my kid's after school care teacher, right? But I knew, man, this girl's on fire. So we hired, my father-in-law again says, hire for attitude, train for skill.
Absolutely.
And so if you do that as you're trying to build that team, you're gonna figure out that over time you're gonna build enough people that have that mentality that they're gonna carry you when you need to be carried.
100%.
Yeah. And for the young folks listening, if you didn't hear what Luke said, please go back and listen to it again. The subtlety of human emotion cannot be replicated in an AI program. It can't. And so if you can develop those soft skills now in your life and really work on them and train on them, go meet leaders who have them and say, hey, how do I understand when that mom comes and says, do I need braces? How do I understand how to get my way through that and come out the other side with a mom who trusts me and is also going into aligners with me,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
That is a skill that has to be developed, and it will never be able to be taken over by AI. Period.
No.
Full stop.
And Hunter knows that because he's asked AI to give him emotion. He's like, help me feel.
We got a Jason Garrett on our hands over here. Yeah.
It really is. It really is not working. I keep going into the agentic AI, and it just won't give it to me. Look at us three sappy old
I
men
know.
sitting here with these sappy little things that we would tell our younger
Great.
selves.
It's
Except
true.
I said it
We
by
are
video.
awesome.
Well, I asked my daughter one time, I said, how are you doing with your soft skills? She's 12. How are your soft skills going? She goes, oh, you mean my makeup skills? I'm like, no, honey.
Not quite.
No,
Not
most
quite.
definitely
No.
not. Hey,
No.
thanks, brother. This is
Anytime.
Yeah.
much fun.
We'll have
Thank
to have
you,
him
guys.
back. Well, the best way to keep up with this is to subscribe to this podcast. That way you never have to miss an episode and you can go back and listen to all the others. If you're enjoying it so far, leave us a review. Have a question, comment, or suggestion for a future episode, drop us a line at canewaters.com. We really do answer these, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about what we do when we're not recording these episodes, visit canewaters.com to see how we're helping our over 3,500 clients reach their long-term financial goals.